Any question to our speakers?
Thank you. A question for the last speaker. Thank you for the information. We see that there are a lot of initiatives for several years. Do you have, so two questions. First is, do you have any summary of all the actors in case we need to contact one of these? Yes, for you.
For me? So one of the first things is I have all the actors, okay? But because of the new European rules, I'm not allowed to give people's personal information.
Yeah, not just the name and the roles.
I can't give name and contact details.
No, I'm speaking about the like E3 is one group. You seems to have a very good overview of all the groups, and just
so there's lots of publications.
Okay.
And we do organize the monthly History Plus seminars. And this year I will send a link because I've asked the partner researchers to organize a meeting. It will be online because the problem is we don't have enough funding for everybody to be able to come to this. So I can share it this way. You can also just register on the Enlight website and you get all the information. But I'm not allowed to register you because that's against...
That was not my point.
But anyway, yes, I have all the access, and there are a number of publications which you can look at. Absolutely.
And the last question is, we have PTCOG AO, we have PTCOG Americas, we have PTCOG, but we still don't have PTCOG Europe. Or is there any discussion or plan about that? Do you know?
Actually, we should have had Marco Durante here, since he's the chair of PTCOG and he's one of the program organizers. And now that it moves around, I don't know, well, I cannot answer your question. We did look into the Enlight network having a stand and some of the papers and abstracts and so on in PTCOG. It didn't quite work, but you're quite right. The challenge I see right now personally is there are so many networks, so many meetings, so little time and so little funding. So we have to really think strategically how to make sure that we don't spend all our time on traveling and going there, and how to share the information. And the whole idea of a Enlight network was to be able to share all the information cheaply, easily, openly. But I don't have an answer for you, but I think we have far too many networks and we have to figure out a way where it can be more strategic.
Please.
Sandro, here. I love your estimate and summations and what's the value of CNAO and stuff. This is super awesome. I wish I could say something like this in America. But what I wanted to do is ask you is, in America, oftentimes I see like a brutal number of like, here's a cost of a life. Like if you save a life, then you put back to the working force $50,000, $100,000 or something like. So the question is, did you? I don't remember. Did you put something like that into your value of, look, I saved a life, and a life, is worth of whatever number.
Yes, something in fact, like there is a table in one of the first slides that illustrate the calculation. And of course, the value is according to the age of the patient. Is younger, then the expectation is longer, so the life year is more valuable. And of course, there are different methods to calculate that. For example, it can be salary based, but in this case, for example, people that is not working is not counted. So we used in that case the GDP. And this is also turned out to be conservative because we don't want to, because that is the real, let's say, driver of the analysis. That is where you gain a lot. At the time, we have these clinical protocols as basis of our calculation, and I think that this deserves more attention now that we have more experience. Of course, the game is to see what is the counterfactual treatment. That, for example, for some treatments it doesn't exist at all. Suppose retreatments, people that has been already gone through a radiotherapy, come for carbon, but there is no alternative. Consider, for example, radio-resistant tumors. There are no alternatives. Maybe surgery is not an alternative. So there you have the maximum margin, of course. And then there are the type 2 and type 3 that are more questionable. You gain some time or you consider quality of life. Quality of life is also a driver because normally when you are poor in the quality of the treatment, then there are costs associated with other techniques that you have to apply to the patient for pain and so on and so forth. So yes, so there is an evaluation, and of course there are different methods, and you need to also to be careful not to exaggerate or to. It depends. You can really play with numbers. There is a table, if we can go back, I don't remember actually by heart, but just if we can just project again, it is calculated by ages. There are 6 ages intervals, and there is the year value and divided by. Yeah. There is the
Sandra, I was going to say to Arnold, one of the things studies the first time I saw this calculation, it's not the number of years a person is living, but it's also if they need more hospital care because they haven't had the cure rate, there's a loss in working and economy, a loss of quality of life, but also the extra costs which you're going to get for the chronic treatment and so on. I remember the first time I saw that was actually when Roberto Recchia was doing this 10 years ago or something. So I think there are quite some number of studies. So, and it's not just the extra years, but it's also because it's the last, if I remember quite, it's the last year or last 2 years of patient's life, which is the most costly for the economy and for the country. I don't remember the exact number. So it's not just the number of years, but it's also the years when you don't have work, but also the extra treatment, care, being in a hospital. 1 year in a hospital is very expensive in most countries.
I think that we need...
This is the table that I was mentioning. And these are the 6 classes. You have the value in between, the interval. And you see that this is the value of the year. Let's say the value of the life altogether. So if you cure the patient at 20 years old, expectation till 82 years old, that's the time limit. This is also given by the data, and this is the value of the year.
Now, clearly it's very interesting. What we need is kind of ICR, which is an incremental cost-effectiveness ratio, because at the individual level it's very, very important, for sure. But I'm not sure we have this kind of... The thing is, maybe you did very sensitivity analysis in your evaluation. It explains this huge range of the net that you presented last slide, but it's very important.
Yes, that's why we have to be careful in presenting the data and analyzing the data, and that's why, for example, that table that is the source of the information with the clinical information nowadays, 10 years after, with experience on outcome of patients, with results, I show the publications, this should be done again, and this will be for sure more precise.
Interestingly, you did a kind of you expected something in 2016, the year you published your paper.
Yes.
Okay, and we are 10 years later. 10 years later, and are you able to see? Okay, this is what I predict, and this is what I observe in terms of revenues and cost.
There are some, let's say, results. First of all, the expectation of number of patients that was overestimated at the time. But this is due to the fact that, I mean, it was not completely missed, because the lower part was 600, and actually we are 600. We think that if we go to carbon, this number, instead of protons, so the mean number of sessions for protons is 24 in our facility and 14 for carbon. So if we devote that machine that is conceived for carbon, because it's so big for that, Then we go to 750. So we are not far from I have no, let's say, at the moment idea, but this is a work going on the clinical content. So the original protocols now has changed in the other protocols, and there really the gain in terms of life years saved, acquired, this is not something that I know by heart for sure, but this is an activity going on. So that evaluation, that is the second terms in the multiplication, need to be quantified. I think that we underestimated the other benefits. For example, research is for sure something that we practice a lot. In principle, we should get money for beam time. This is a political choice if we do or not, but for sure we deliver more beam time than expected at the beginning, because the first focus was on clinical application. There is for sure a cultural impact that has been probably underestimated at the beginning, and also technological spillover. You see how many companies are turning around such an infrastructure, and this is for sure creating a lot of benefits. Benefits because you drive locally also the interest of companies. There are companies that are growing with you because they give you maintenance, and also they increase their competence, because working in such a high technology domain, they for sure get competencies. I think to control system people, I think to power supply producers, high vacuum systems, so precision mechanics. So there is you have seen, there are more than 300 companies in an area, a circle of, I would say, 100 kilometers around the CNAO. Other 200 in the rest of Italy and 100 abroad. So these are huge numbers to me, and this was not properly, I would say, quantified at the beginning in the study.
And one question, did you plan at the beginning to have patients from abroad? So no?
The facility was no and yes. I mean, the
important.
facility was conceived, of course, financed by the Italian National Health Systems, Italian Ministry of Health. So we are focused to Italian patients. We are open also to patients coming from abroad. I mean, Jack was reporting some patients that were done in the clinical trial that we did together. But if I have to quantify, so we are not closed, and we give also service, let's say, to international patients, but the fraction, I would say, is 97.3%.
And do you think it could be something for the network?
Well, I think one of the things for the HITRI Plus network, for example, the transnational access, we are actually using some of this for being able to make, first, raise awareness of what's possible, and two, that if they would like to have patients being referred to, and with the Piero and with the Heidelberg, Medostron, and CNAO, do this. So part of the network of the HITRI Plus network, for example, is to raise awareness of particle therapy, the possibility of the fact that there is this transnational access where, as I think it was Angelica maybe mentioned, that they can come for free as part of the course to be able to come in either with the patient but also just to see what's going on, because one of the important parts of networking is to let the rest of the community aware what's possible and what's needed, and for them to become familiar with this. And that's the other reason why we have these monthly seminars, for example, is that then, and it's open to globally because it's virtual, right, is to show, because I think if you sit in your corner, I mean, we have, 16 now, right, carbon centers globally. And we have 4, now 5, probably in Europe. Most of them are in Japan. We will finally be happy when we have one in the US. But if you want to talk about beyond the protons going on, networking and raising awareness and sharing this information is really, really important. So that's part of the networking pillar that's critical from our perspective.
Yeah, good point, Manjit. On the TNA for HITRI Plus was mentioned yesterday. You have a flyer outside, but this is an opportunity. I want also to say that in CNAO, with the expansion project that we are ongoing, and we are going to close to have the machines starting running next year, end of next year. We will have a Proton facility, so we will have more space for carbon in the present facility. So, and also we will have BNCT. That is not touched here really. Is clinical research, I would say, but in perspective, if it works, is 1 or 2 session treatments. And this is has a huge impact also on the organization, because I repeat, one of the crucial problem at the beginning of in our facility was the recruitment of patients. So we had many contacts, many inefficiency in selecting patients, and often very difficult cases. Only now, through networking, through multidisciplinary tables, to the fact that our doctors are going and talking to colleagues, we have an efficient way to recruit patients. That's to be, let's say, understood. I mean, it's not just a facility problem, but it's also a recruitment problem that has to be organized beforehand in order to be efficient.
I have a short question about the academic production. You mentioned that you issue more than 1,000 papers, if I remember correctly. Did you analyze what the proportion of these papers could be considered as game changer? Is there any of these papers that is included in national recommendation for healthcare, for instance? So did you analyze the cost of the facility with related to the game changer paper? It's a little bit provocative, but you know, us as a public agency, and to discuss with the national policy about the huge investment needed by this kind of facility. We need ammunition in your discussion, and the ammunition is considered as game changer paper. So.
Yeah. If I understand correctly your question, yes, we are in that process, I would say. I mean, our clinicians are participating to tables of the national health system in order to set the, let's say, the priority treatments for different kind of patients. By the way, the list of 10 pathologies that are indications for and approved by the national health system and fully reimbursed by the national health system, and also for the European patients, they don't pay at all because there is an interstate agreement. So this, let's say, pathology list is coming from from the production of knowledge around the results of these treatments. Of course, this is not to the extent we would like to be. There are still a lot of, let's say, discussions. There are still, let's say, people that is not seeing always claimed these phase 3 clinical trials. This is something that is always on the table once there is somebody that is against this modality. That, of course, is costing, because the reimbursement, running such a facility is an issue also of money. But I think that our papers, our data are very important and can really steer the decision of the management of the health system in the state to also favor these applications. This is not the solution of the problems, but we need to have a niche of money to continue our activities and produce results. And by the way, the expansion project has been financed by the state. So somehow this is also a demonstration of the fact that what we produced is recognized.
Thank you. Just to encourage this phase 3 randomized trial, again, for any public health policy, we require absolutely whenever possible a randomized phase 3 trial.
This is not my topic, but you have seen also pictures of parachute and without parachute, but often this is not possible, and I would say also not ethical. If I have a father of 4 children, not any more children, but if I would choose between X-rays and proton therapy, after seeing a couple of slides that I can show you, I would not randomize anything. I would go for that. So to do randomized trials, it's easy to say, but it's unpractical often. So maybe this is not really the good choice. Still, we need to produce data to produce real-world data and to show that our results are very good.
For sure, to go outside the niche, okay, because there is re-radiation, there is no question, you know. But to go outside the niche, maybe we have to go to phase 3 trial at a time, you know. Maybe it's not yet, but we have to go at phase 3 trial for sure. Any question in the audience? Because I think it's time.
We have to
Okay.
let